The stars had always seemed indifferent to the petty squabbles of humanity. In the endless expanse of the cosmos, Earth was a pale blue dot, insignificant, fragile. Yet, on a cold, silent night in orbit above the planet, a fleet unlike anything humanity had ever imagined appeared. Ships of crystalline metal stretching miles long, their hulls shimmering in hues no human eye had words for. They came in silence, surveying, calculating, waiting. For millennia, civilizations across countless galaxies had known of Earth. They had watched humanity grow, thinking them primitive, inconsequential, and then something in the humans sparked a curiosity that became terror. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and that mistake would soon cost them everything. Captain Ethan Caldwell stood at the helm of the USS Valor, the newest warship of the United Earth Defense Force, staring at the holographic display floating before him. The data scrolled faster than human eyes could normally process. Alien vessels, formation patterns, energy signatures beyond anything recorded. He exhaled, gripping the console. His chest tightened as he realized the sheer scale of what they were facing. "This is insane," muttered Lieutenant Maya Thompson, her fingers dancing over her console, trying to intercept communications. "They're not even responding. It's like we're invisible to them." Ethan didn't respond. He felt it deep in his bones, the weight of humanity's audacity. Their orders had been clear: observe, don't provoke. But in the briefings, nobody had mentioned how utterly terrifying these beings were. Their ships weren't just war machines. They were living architecture, organic and mechanical fused, radiating intelligence. The hologram shimmered as if alive, pulsating with colors that defied logic. "They're scanning us," Maya whispered, pointing at a series of light patterns that danced over the Valor's shields. Ethan nodded grimly. "All right," he said finally. "Initiate defensive protocols. But keep the weapons offline. We don't know what they're capable of." Minutes stretched into hours. Humanity's fleet remained silent, but tension cracked the air like static. Then, without warning, the alien fleet moved. Not aggressively, but with a precision that was disconcerting. One of their ships detached from formation and drifted toward the nearest human mining colony orbiting Saturn's moon, Titan. Ethan's stomach turned. "That's a civilian outpost," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Maya's eyes widened. "They're scanning for resources, or something worse." Before they could react, a transmission crackled through the human network, distorted, almost unrecognizable. "This is Admiral Laura Vance. All units prepare for engagement. Humanity's survival is not negotiable." The order hung in the air like a guillotine, and in that instant, the humans did the unthinkable. The Valor's engines roared to life. Weapons systems came online, firing the first human salvo into the void. Energy beams lanced through space, hitting the alien vessel with a force that even surprised Ethan. For the first time, the aliens responded, but not with fear, not with retreat. They merely observed. Then their retaliation began. The Valor shook violently as alien energy rips lashed across the hull. Ethan gritted his teeth. He had trained for scenarios like this. Simulations had prepared them for battles against AI, rogue colonies, even asteroids, but nothing had prepared him for the cold. Calculating response of a civilization older than human history itself, Maya shouted from her console. "Captain, shields holding, but they're adapting. Every shot we fire, they counter it before it hits." Ethan's hands gripped the rail. "Then we adapt faster. They think they're prepared for us? They have no idea." Hours passed in a blur of laser fire and maneuvers impossible to track. And in the chaos, humanity discovered something terrifying and exhilarating. Their weapons, primitive by alien standards, were having an effect. Ships meant to last millennia began to crumble under concentrated human fire. The galaxy had never expected such ferocity, such cunning in beings they considered insignificant. "Sir," Maya said, voice shaking with a mixture of fear and awe. "They're changing tactics. They're retreating." Ethan's lips curled into a grim smile. "Not retreating. They're stunned. They didn't anticipate resistance. From us." In the aftermath, the human fleet regrouped, battered but undefeated. For the first time, the galaxy began to realize a horrifying truth. Humanity was not only capable of surviving, they were capable of winning. And for Ethan Caldwell, standing amid the wreckage of alien elegance, a single thought crystallized. Humanity had ignited a fire that would consume the stars themselves. The wreckage of the first encounter lingered in human memory like a storm that refused to pass. Ethan Caldwell stood on the bridge of the USS Valor, staring at the twisted remnants of alien cruisers drifting silently through space. It had been 3 days since the first strike, and humanity's triumph had come at a heavy cost. Nearly half of the fleet had sustained crippling damage, and over 4,000 soldiers were dead. Still, no human soul could deny the thrill. They had struck fear into the galaxy itself. "Sir, sensors are detecting an incoming fleet," Lieutenant Maya Thompson said, her voice taut with tension. "Much larger than the one we engaged before. They're coordinating on a scale we've never seen." Ethan's jaw tightened. "How long before they reach us?" "Approximately 6 hours if they maintain current velocity," she replied. 6 hours. That was all the time humanity had to prepare for the retaliation that was already coming. Across the stars, in a command chamber built of translucent crystal and liquid energy, the Alien Council convened. Their leader, an entity called Kylthar, glowed faintly in a shifting spectrum of colors, a language of emotion and logic incomprehensible to humans. "They attack with impunity," Kylthar said, its voice a harmonic resonance that seemed to vibrate through the very hull of their command ship. "Primitive, reckless, they defy every expectation. They must be contained, eradicated." The council debated, their thoughts moving faster than light could travel. Humanity's unpredictability was terrifying. Unlike the calculated civilizations of the galaxy, humans did not always follow reason or precedent. Their leaders acted on instinct, emotion, courage, and sometimes madness. And in war, that made them a force the galaxy had never accounted for. Back aboard the Valor, Ethan addressed the fleet. The captains of each ship stood at attention, fatigue etched into their faces. Yet there was a fire in their eyes. "We've fought before," Ethan began, voice steady. "We've survived when others thought it impossible. Today we face an enemy unlike any we've imagined. They're stronger, smarter, and ruthless. But so are we. Remember, they've never faced humanity like this before." Maya leaned close, lowering her voice. "Sir, do you really think we can stop them?" Ethan's gaze drifted to the stars. "No, not stop them. Survive, and make them regret every calculation they ever made about us." As the alien fleet approached, the humans initiated a daring plan. They would not wait to be slaughtered. They would strike first, not at the heart of the enemy, but at their supply lines, their communications nodes, anything that would destabilize the fleet before it could consolidate. The humans were reckless, yes, but that recklessness was their greatest weapon. The first skirmish of the day erupted near the asteroid belt surrounding Jupiter. Human strike teams leapt from cover to cover, firing plasma cannons, deploying drones, and using asteroids as shields. Ethan's voice crackled through the comms. "Alpha teams, hold the line! Beta teams, flank them from the left! We fight not just for survival, but for the galaxy to remember that humanity exists. And it bites." The aliens, sophisticated beyond imagination, responded with their own ferocity. Energy waves tore through the asteroid field, vaporizing rocks and men alike. Yet humanity adapted. Where one tactic failed, another emerged. Ambushes, decoys, countermeasures designed in real time by soldiers who thrived in chaos. Hours turned into days. The battlefield stretched across the outer solar system, with human ingenuity pushing back an opponent whose technology was centuries ahead. And yet the cost was mounting. Human ships were burning out. Life support failures became common. The Valor itself sustained hits that left entire decks uninhabitable. Amid the chaos, Ethan noticed something chilling. The aliens weren't just adapting to their attacks. They were learning to anticipate human behavior. Every new tactic he devised seemed to be countered almost immediately. Their intelligence was vast, but it lacked imagination. It lacked the chaos that was uniquely human. Sir, Maya reported urgently. They're concentrating their fire on the Valor. They've identified it as command. If we go down, the fleet might crumble. Ethan gritted his teeth. Not today. He glanced at the tactical display and saw the pattern emerging. The aliens were overextending. Their confidence was growing, and with it, their arrogance. Humans had learned that overconfidence was a weapon just as lethal as any laser cannon. Prepare the Omega strike, he said quietly. Maya's eyes widened. You mean the planetary disruption charge? Ethan nodded. They've underestimated us from the beginning. Let's make sure they regret it. The Omega strike was humanity's ultimate gambit, a doomsday weapon designed to tear open the fabric of space in a localized area, destroying everything in its radius. Normally, it was considered suicidal, but Ethan had calculated the risk. The aliens were already committing too many resources to the attack, leaving them vulnerable. As the charge primed, Ethan felt a strange calm. Humanity had always been underestimated. Every empire, every civilization that had looked down on them had made the same mistake. They had assumed predictability, assumed fear, assumed weakness. And every time humans had proven them wrong. Then came the moment. With a deep breath, Ethan pressed the trigger. A pulse of energy surged through the void, fracturing space itself, tearing through the alien formation. Ships that had seemed invincible moments ago were shredded, their defenses meaningless against the raw force of human ingenuity and audacity. The aftermath was staggering. Thousands of alien vessels were destroyed. The remainder retreated, their formations broken, their confidence shattered. For the first time, the galaxy witnessed something it had never expected. Humans did not simply fight. Humans defied the rules of warfare, bending chance and luck, courage and madness into a weapon no one could anticipate. Ethan stared at the remnants of the alien fleet as it vanished into the distance. This isn't over, he muttered. But they'll never forget humanity, and neither will we. The remnants of the alien fleet were scattered across the void like broken glass, drifting silently in the shadow of Saturn. Humanity had survived. Humanity had struck fear into the galaxy, and yet Ethan Caldwell knew better than to call it victory. This was only the beginning. Captain, Maya Thompson's voice cut through the bridge comms, tense but resolute. We've intercepted transmissions from the alien command fleet. They're regrouping near the Andromeda expanse. This could be their heart. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then that's where we go. Humanity doesn't wait for threats to come knocking. We take the fight to them. The USS Valor led the fleet battered but unbroken toward a sector no human had ever reached. For weeks, they traveled through uncharted space, charting anomalies and avoiding hazards that would have destroyed lesser fleets. Every jump brought them closer to the alien core, and every step revealed the terrifying scale of the beings they were up against. Finally, the human fleet emerged into the Andromeda expanse. A galaxy-sized fortress floated in the void, a labyrinth of crystalline spires, energy conduits, and living constructs. The alien leadership had gathered here, prepared to annihilate humanity once and for all. But Ethan knew the truth. Their confidence, their arrogance, was their weakness. They had never faced humans on their own terms, unpredictable, fearless, and willing to push beyond the edge of reason. Prepare the boarding teams, Ethan said. We're not just fighting ships today. We're taking the war to them personally. Lieutenant Maya's eyes widened. Boarding. Their central citadel? Sir, we don't know what we're walking into. Their technology... I know, Ethan interrupted. But they've underestimated us before, and they'll regret it again. The assault began like a storm tearing across the void. Human fighters weaved through energy barriers, dodging alien turrets and automated defenses. Marauding drones swarmed like locusts, but human ingenuity turned even the deadliest traps into opportunities. Explosions tore through alien vessels, creating chaotic, blinding waves of light and heat. Humanity was chaos incarnate, a force the galaxy had never imagined. Ethan led the boarding party personally, a team of the most elite soldiers humanity had. Their drop pods smashed into the alien citadel with deafening impact. Walls that seemed indestructible fractured under human explosives, and corridors thrummed with energy that hummed like a living being. Every step forward was a battle, every turn a gamble against traps designed to erase them from existence. At the heart of the Citadel, Ethan and his team confronted Kael'thar, the alien leader. Its form shimmered, vast and incomprehensible, constantly shifting. Colors and patterns streamed across its body, a language of pure thought. "You are an aberration," it resonated, its voice vibrating through their minds. "Your kind should not exist." Ethan stepped forward, heart pounding but unflinching. "You assumed we'd be weak. You assumed we'd play by your rules. You were wrong, and now you're going to see why humanity survives where no one else can." Kael'thar unleashed a wave of energy, a force designed to annihilate all life in the room. But Ethan's team, using every tool at their disposal, countered with an experimental pulse cannon, a weapon designed to disrupt alien energy constructs. The blast tore through Kael'thar's form, fragmenting its coherence, sending ripples through the Citadel. But even as the alien struggled, its consciousness attempted to reach across the void, rallying its fleet, threatening to crush humanity in one final act of vengeance. Ethan realized that brute force alone would not end this war. They needed to strike at the core of its command, the intelligence that coordinated the entire civilization. Maya hacked into the alien network remotely, weaving through layers of incomprehensible code. "I've got it, Captain. The core is exposed, but it's unstable. If we push too hard—" Ethan cut her off. "Do it." With a synchronized strike, they channeled the Omega pulse through the Citadel's core. Energy surged, corridors shuddered, and a deafening roar of unthinkable magnitude echoed across the expanse. The alien network collapsed. Kael'thar's form fractured into millions of shards of light before dissolving into nothingness. The Citadel imploded, pulling the surviving alien ships with it into a collapsing vortex. Outside, the human fleet watched in awe and disbelief. The galaxy that had underestimated humanity trembled, and now, for the first time, it feared what humanity was capable of. Ethan stood on the Valor's bridge, breathing heavily, staring at the void where the alien civilization had existed. "It's over," he said quietly, though he knew the memory of the battle would linger in every corner of the cosmos. Maya placed a hand on his shoulder. "For now." "But, Captain, we've changed the universe forever." Ethan nodded. "Yes, and the galaxy will never forget it. Humanity wasn't supposed to win. Humanity wasn't supposed to survive. But we did, and now we lead." For the first time in human history, Earth's children had confronted the stars themselves and emerged as equals. The galaxy would remember the name humanity not as prey, not as insignificant observers, but as a force beyond expectation, a reckoning, a storm. And far beyond the shattered Citadel, in the dark vastness of space, whispers of the humans' audacity spread like wildfire. The civilizations that had once considered Earth irrelevant would tremble for centuries. They had attacked humanity, expecting weakness, and now they regretted it forever. The stars were no longer indifferent. Humanity had arrived,